Can you hear me? Thank you. Calling the meeting to order at 7:04 p.m.
Bang the gavel.
Call to order, yeah? Roll call, please. Thank you.
Trustee Kadir, absent. Trustee Derblick. Trustee Schoenfeld. Treasurer Botello.
Present.
Secretary Rosansky. Here. Vice President Trunco.
Here.
President Keene.
Here. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I would like to motion to move the agenda item 11A to 11B and move 11B to 11A.
Can I ask why?
Because I would like for the board to discuss the position before we decide to ratify the contract.
Please call the roll.
And I was getting the sheet.
Oh,
I'm
sure.
missing what are we changing?
Can you repeat your motion?
I would like to move, I motion to move agenda item 11A to 11B and 11B to 11A.
All right. Trustee Kadir, absent. Trustee Derblick.
Yes?
Trustee Schoenfeld. Yes. Trustee Botello.
No.
Secretary Rosansky.
No.
Vice President Trunco.
Yes.
President Keene.
No.
Motion passes tie.
Fails when it's a tie.
Right. Oh, it passed when it's
No,
a tie.
fails
No,
when
it
it's a tie.
fails
That's what I
when it's
thought.
a tie.
But you said pass.
Fail. No. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Let's move to public comment, please.
Liesl Cottrell.
Hello, good evening. Do you hear me?
Yes.
No. Yes? Yeah. Okay,
Yes.
great. Hello, good evening, Board of Trustees. Thank you so much for giving me a few moments of your time here. You volunteer to serve and lead our village's library by being on the board. And this commitment is truly and deeply appreciated. You are here because you obviously care about our community. And as you know, the library team cares about our community as well. Our community is resilient, and we are on the process to heal. But healing will take time, and while we not always see eye to eye on every point, especially some points involving a multi-million-dollar budget, which is one of the primary responsibilities of a library board. A library board is to seek adequate funds to carry out a library operations and have been planned by a professional library team. And a board is to approve the annual budget in accordance with local laws. And a library board is to advocate for the library and promoting the mission of our library to the community and to the leaders in our community. It's no easy task, and you are choosing to do this together. So let's all give each other a little bit of grace and respect. The budget is just the tip of the iceberg with what's going on in our library. We're all human, and we all care about our community. There is a solution to every library problem. We are not unique, and some solutions not everyone may like, and some resolutions may take more time than we want. We all know that we should do when our minds are spiraling with thoughts of uncertainty. We need to stop, ask for help, ask for feedback, and most of all, listen. We are all trying. And on the plus side, at least we are not building another Leaning Tower of Niles. Don't get me started on that. It's very random, and I don't get it. But the crazy thing about that Leaning Tower is that it brings joy and it brings positive news. to the Village of Niles. So let's keep working together to bring more joy to our library and to our village, and creating more positive news for our community through respect and grace. Thank you for your time.
Elliot Osherman.
Good evening, Board. This is Elliot Osherman, late to the committee against the retention of the two snoozes. There had been a third, but the community realized the damages done by one and voted him out in April. As usual, I have given a copy of these comments to the Interim Executive Director for distribution to each of you so you can follow along. As usual, I generally address the comments of the entirety of the Board. And as usual, I start with my 9 declarative statements. Those being, I will neither be silenced nor interrupted, nor will we, nor will the community. Additionally, I will remember the actions of the Board, both good and bad, as will we, as will the community. And finally, I will vote on April 1st, 2025, if not earlier through early voting, as will we, as will the community, for reclamation of our library, Part 2. This evening, among other topics, you will be dealing with the proposed budget and appropriation ordinance. The big red pen for deletions and reductions that had been yielded and abused by the prior treasurer is gone. The efforts of these deletions and reductions remain. This proposed budget is a valiant effort to undo the harm done by those deletions, those reductions, the so-called temporary hiring freeze, and the attitude of the three snoozes towards the staff. It is an attempt to rectify, look it up, the short-sightedness of the three snoozes who did not seem to be inclined to look any further than the next tax levy. I appreciate the hard work that has been done by this new board to compromise the numbers, but not their beliefs in the future of the library. This proposed budget seems extremely workable and sees the forest for the trees. Development of a new strategic plan is overdue and quite necessary. Longer-term planning is a requirement to keep this library serving the needs of the community. Thank you and good night.
Todd Miller.
Good evening, Board. My name is Todd. Some of you know me already. I'm an employee here at Niles Main District Library and a member of the union contract bargaining team. We've been negotiating this contract for far too long, especially to be where we are today. The employees of this library deserve a fair contract, a contract that provides some relief from the rising costs of everyday life. While inflation and interest rates have soared, we have been struggling to get by with minimal increases in pay that we have received over the last 2 years. Multiple board members have said that finalizing a fair contract for employees is a top priority. So far, we have not seen this in our negotiations. I want to be clear that I'm not here this evening only speaking for myself or for the bargaining team. I'm here for the employees of Niles Main District Library who still make less than $15 per hour. For the employees who have seen their rent increase by nearly 10% with only a 2.8% annual raise over 2 years. For employees who have been burdened by rising costs of goods and groceries, a result of historic 14% inflation rates, again on just a 2.8% raise over 2 years. For employees who have worked in this library for over 10 years, but make similar hourly rates or less than their coworkers who were only recently hired. For the employees who work 2 jobs. For the employees who stayed while their coworkers and peers moved on to other libraries with higher wages and far less drama. For the employees who spent 2 years defending their existence to a board who would have preferred they didn't exist. For the employees who have worked at this library for decades and are holding on for a little bit of financial recognition of their longevity and commitment. For the employees who are single parents. For the employees who care for elders and relatives. For the employees with children in college. For employees with student loans of their own, with payments coming due after a 3-year pause. For employees who gave their time and their weekends to campaign for a new board. For the bargaining team who has been trying to get this contract finished since December of 2021. For the employees who show up every day to serve, who care deeply about the community, the patrons, and the library. For the employees who are tired of being asked for patience. For the employees who are disappointed and frustrated with the lack of progress. For employees who deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. For better wages for all. For a fair contract now.
Thank you.
Before everybody leaves from AFSCME, can I have your attention for 1 second, please? I'd like to make a comment. No? Okay. Well, I'll put a comment on the record. As one of those people that the AFSCME people did back, we are working and trying to get this fair contract done. I understand it's been over 2 years. This board hasn't been together for 2 years. It's been 90 days tomorrow. We're making progress as best we can, and we'll continue to try to do so.
Stephanie McDaniel.
Hi, my name is Stephanie McDaniel, and I wanted to emphasize that this community has put a lot of time and a lot of energy and an awful lot of money into electing this particular board. Yeah. Okay. I'll just start over. I don't have that much to say anyway. I wanted to emphasize that this community has put an unusual amount of time and energy and money into electing this board to have our interests represented at this library, which is the oath everyone here swore to do. And I know we have different ideas of what governance should look like philosophically, but I think, as evidenced by really just the enormous outpouring of support for this teeny tiny little election that we had in last year, that everyone up on stage should remember that we want our interests directly represented here and upstairs and everywhere else you do business by the board. And obviously, there's some things going on that not all of us know what's happening, but not everyone is happy. And I would like to know that everyone here is going to funnel our wants into action to make sure that everybody is happy, because clearly that's what the community wanted with an overwhelming vote. Thank you.
Renee Sutherland.
Hello, my name is Renee, and I use pronouns she and her. I'm a representative of the Niles Coalition and an organizer with our Save Niles Library campaign. And with me today are allies, comrades, and supporters here in solidarity with the AFSCME Union of the Niles Main District Library staff. Over the past 2 years, this board, under Trustee Derblick's leadership, targeted the staff here at the Niles Main District Library. This was intentional because they know exactly who makes a library what it is. It is the staff. A library is a living, breathing institution made up of people. It requires nurturing that inspires workers to flourish in their roles. This means a living wage that allows people to thrive, not just survive. It means a fair union contract that provides the necessary democratic autonomy that a union brings to workers. Last week, the AFSCME Union of Niles Main District Library staff published a letter to the editor in the Journal and Topics calling for a contract. They said, quote, as they did also tonight, "We formed our union to have a seat at the table and voice in how the library operates, but simply sitting at the table is not enough. We have been in negotiations since December 2021. It is time for management to settle a fair contract with fair wages now." Unquote. There can be no more delay. The AFSCME Union of Niles Main District Library staff deserves a fair contract and fair wages now. Thank you.
There's one public comment that was emailed in. I'll read it. Submitted by Suzanne Atanas. On Monday, August 18th, Ms. Atanas wrote, "I talked personally with Cindy Rademacher yesterday at 5 p.m. after the library closed in the parking lot about All Communities Rally meeting on Sunday, August 27th, 2023 at 2 p.m. until dusk. I shared with her that Mr. Tom Ellens, Commissioner, Niles Park District, approved my permit for date and time at Cortlandt Park, Niles, Illinois on August 27th, 2023. I then changed the park location to Greenwood and Church Small Grass Field because it has parking spaces on both sides of Church Street and the next block on Davis Street and porta potties, I am waiting for his approval when he comes back to the office on Monday, August 14th, 2023. I will tell him that the subject event is going to be with the Niles Main Library District. I requested that the IT staff there set up a wireless virtual event with a wireless laptop and screen, and whatever else is needed for the event, and that the IT be present during this meeting. In case of rain, the event will be in meeting rooms A and B in the Niles Main Library District that has been requested online. Thank you, Suzanne Atanas.
Thank you.
That's the end of public comment.
Is there anyone else present that would like to give public comment?
Yes, hello, Board and fellow community members. I have watched this library, I would say, since I retired from CPS. I was a teacher 32 years in CPS. I do go to other libraries also, and I see how nicely they work together. I have not gone to any trustee meetings, but I know that they must listen to each other. That was lacking. The new board, I saw at the last meeting such an improvement, unbelievable. All right, so I've been here 10 years. I've been in the garden club. I've worked with Cindy's, by the way, in case some of you don't know. Cindy also took on the garden club to beautify the grounds here. This staff is worth so much. It's worth its weight in gold. You lost, and I am angry. You lost top people because of all your nonsense. Not everybody here, but there were some that made it a mess. And they got better positions. They are now heads of departments. Susie Wolf's in Prospect Heights, Jabez is in Oak Park. These people that we just saw protesting, they could have picked up and left and said, I've had it. They stayed. You better reward them for their faithfulness. And everything they said, I totally agree with. We are, as we know, in a period of high inflation. These are young people. They have families, and it's been said, I'm not going to repeat that part. They have families, they're hard workers, they're the best of the best. They didn't jump ship. And I certainly hope you reward them, because I know in 10 years of being here, that they are very valuable. Thank you.
Would anyone else like to give public comment? All right, then we can move on to the minutes. Would someone like to make a motion for 5A, please?
I motion that we approve 5A.
Yes. Oh, all right. So can we take a vote on the minutes for the Decennial Committee, please? Or do we have, let me see.
I'm saying this, I didn't see.
We don't have those minutes, so let's move on to 5B, minutes of July 10th.
So don't we have to table those or move those?
Sure.
I don't know, I just asked.
I think it says in process, which means it's not even an agenda item, it's just there for information. At least that's
Okay.
how we've done it in the past.
Perfect, okay. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the July 10th, 2023 special board meeting.
Second.
All right, would you like to take the vote, please?
Trustee Derblick,
Yes.
Trustee Schoenfeld, Treasurer Botello,
Yes.
Secretary Rosansky,
Yes.
Vice President Trunco,
Yes.
President Keene.
Yes.
7 yeses, 0 nos, motion passed.
Minutes for July 17th. Is there a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the board meeting on this regular board meeting of July 17, 2023.
Roll call?
Trustee Kadir,
Yes.
Trustee Derblick,
Yes.
Trustee Schoenfeld. Treasurer Botello,
Yes.
Secretary Rosansky,
Yes.
Vice President Trunco,
Yes.
President Keene.
Yes.
7 yeses, 0 nos, motion passes.
Thank you. July 31st, special board
Oh,
meeting?
sorry.
Go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the special board meeting on July 31st, 2023.
Second.
Trustee Kadir,
Yes.
Trustee Derblick,
Yes.
Trustee Schoenfeld. Treasurer Botello,
Yes.
Secretary Rosansky,
Yes.
Vice President Trunco,
Yes.
President Keene.
Yes.
I'd like,
7 ye-
oh, sorry. Go ahead. I'm
7
sorry.
yeses, 0 nos, motion passed.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the operating expenses of $191,671.59, payroll expenses of $240,833.82, for a total monthly expense of $432,505.41.
Second?
Trustee Kadir?
Yes.
Yes.
I have a question regarding the check for the Office of Illinois State Treasurer for a total of $750.
What page?
Page 10.
Did you by chance ask that question of Cindy before she left?
No, I did not.
Page 10, what number check was it?
You cannot specify check.
Okay, I'm just looking, I don't see anything Secretary of State
How about
on
the
here.
amount of the check? Will that help?
$750. My question is, why are we writing a check to the treasurer?
I can't speak on behalf of the prior director.
I
and
don't s-
No notes were given to me on that.
There's no check listed on page 10 for $750.
No, there isn't.
I have it highlighted. Page 10, $750.
Office of.
Oh, now I see it.
So it says here, unclaimed property payment.
Well, why are we paying a check toward the treasury?
Well, that would have been a good question to ask before tonight. Oh, Rich, you know the answer?
I can elaborate on that.
I think Rich has an answer.
So after a certain amount of time, if property's unclaimed, we have to send it to the treasurer. That's what that is. So say Mr. Smith needed a $100 check return, and 3 years, 2 years, 6 months went by. There's a time period by which once that unclaimed property, that time goes by, we have to send it to the treasurer. And so the treasurer then has that money, and people can go to the treasurer and get that. That's why they have I think it's several $1 trillion worth of money
Right.
that they go around and they try to return back to.
Thank you. Trustee Schoenfeld, does that answer? Or go ahead.
I would just like to add, in 2019, the auditors instructed us that we needed to create a procedure for follow-up and processing of unclaimed checks because we weren't following that procedure. So I guess the next question would be, if probably Lisi would know, what is the current procedure that we still have outstanding checks from 21 and 22. I mean, if we have a procedure and this is the best we can do because it was much higher, that's fine. But at the time that the auditors informed us we needed a policy and procedure, it was not accepted by the current board. So I don't know where we stand. So I'd like to just put a question out there to Lisi. Is there a process, and based on that process, this is what was left?
So Pilar, can you maybe follow up on that? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pilar.
Okay, are we ready to take a vote then? I think so.
Yes.
Trustee Derblick,
Yes.
Trustee Schoenfeld. Yes. Treasurer Botello,
Yes.
Secretary Rosansky,
Yes.
Vice President Trunko,
Yes.
President Keene.
Yes,
7 yeses, 0 nos, motion passed.
thank you. Agenda item 7, ordinances. I don't know, Pilar, if you can guide me in what we are we just looking over this, or are we, I mean, it's already.
My understanding is that it's really just a placeholder in case you all wanted to discuss any of the pending.
Okay, so we have the ordinance for the budget and the paper announcement.
Correct. We're just
Yeah.
acknowledging
Yeah,
that those
so
things
it's-
are pending.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone feel the need to, I think we've gone over this quite a bit already, and we have the hearing coming up, so I think it's okay to move on to 8, if that's okay. All right, thank you. Trustee reports. That starts with me, I guess, so,
I was asking if we need to vote. I said there's no discussion, there's no action point on this.
No, there's no action on that yet. So for my president's report, I just have a few notes. I wanted to start off by expressing my thanks to Cindy, who's not here with us tonight, but I wanted to thank her for her 24 years of service, and recognize how much time she has spent here, especially over the last 2 years. It hasn't gone unnoticed. I'm very grateful for that time. I wanted to welcome Pilar, and thank you for stepping up to help us during this time. Very glad to have you here. I also wanted to give my congratulations to Todd and Robin and Athena and Jamie for their participation in the library world at large and being recruited to participate in various committees. It's an honor for us to have them on staff. I wanted to share a quick story of a patron comment that I got personally from a coworker of mine.
Excuse me, Becky?
Last week, I think.
Becky, can you turn your mic on?
Oh, shoot, I'm sorry.
We can hear.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to start all over, but
Whatever.
sorry. I hope that whoever's watching, Cindy, if you're watching it again later, I hope you can hear what I said. But I wanted to share a story that a coworker of mine brought to me last week. She had attended a program that Josh gave on some kind of computer class and wanted to make sure that I knew how wonderful of a teacher he was and how caring and easy it was to learn from him. And so I know that he is already because I hear it all the time, but hearing it from someone on a personal level was really special. And lastly, I wanted to comment specifically to the union and the union staff. I want to assure them that we are dedicated to finding a contract and finalizing a contract with you. And I understand that it may not feel that way to you, but we have been working on it regularly since May. And we will continue to do so tonight, as Trustee Trunko mentioned. This is not the board that stalled the progress. That board is done. But this board just got here in May, and we've had 3 meetings to work on this. And we have worked on it at every single meeting, and we are working on it tonight, and we are working on it almost every day behind the scenes, and we do value you. And it upsets me too. I am very upset about it as well. But this board did inherit the previous mess and the previous stalling. And we are working very hard since May. We also, the budget is important to us to get right too. And then we also had the departure of our director, which was unexpected to us as well, and finding someone to replace her became a priority for a short time, and now we have that under control, so we are focusing again on the union contract, and I just want you to know that we are doing that and we do value you. Thank you. Vice President Trunkle.
I'd like for the public and the union representatives and everybody to just understand, piggyback a little bit off what President Keene just said. We just approved 3 board meetings from the month of July alone. We're not taking anything lightly. We didn't take it lightly during the campaign run. I know I didn't, speaking for myself and only myself. I am fully aware of getting a union contract done. For those who don't know, my wife's a union employee. I understand the importance of the union for everybody and their families. But we do have a budget we were going through. We do have other things that are on the table. We could only get so much done in between each meeting, especially when there's only so many meetings that we could have, plus so many meetings and negotiating bargaining table at the same time. So we're working on it. I will continue to support the union. I support the staff with the unionization, but we have to get it all done, and we're trying. We asked for time. It's 90 days tomorrow that we've been in these seats. So we asked for a little bit of time, and we just need some of that time. So thank you.
Treasurer Botello, do you have anything?
Just simply that not to pick on any one particular comment, but the comments that are left at the desk on handwritten notes, I appreciate that. I like hearing from people, regardless of whether it's email or a personal comment. Simply those cards, filling them out. I do take the time to read them, and it's feedback that I use in making my decisions towards budgeting and other issues that we have to face here at the library. Thank you.
Thank you. Secretary Rosansky.
Me now? Yes, the Chamber's morning network was Tuesday. A meeting was pertaining to non-for-profits. It was the largest chamber meeting I've been to. It was very enlightening. I was very happy I did attend. The take and make this month was a cross-stitch watermelon. Pretty cool. Thank you.
Trustee Derblick.
I too would like to thank Cindy for her countless hours over the past 2 years. It was an extremely intense 2 years, and she definitely supported her staff during grievance processes and assured them during uncertainty. And she also made many accomplishments in our library that will probably go unnoticed, but I just wanted to thank her. And I welcome Pilar. It's so good to see you here so soon. So thank you for being here. And I too would like to just make a quick comment about union negotiations. Yes, it's been since 2021, I think in September is when the union counted the cards. And I'd like everyone to understand that there are over 100 proposals that have been submitted, and this board and the previous board has worked earnestly, meeting after meeting, to go through them. And of course, each proposal is in itself unique, and now we have moved on to even more proposals. So the board as a whole is concerned about having a contract for the staff, but it's a lengthy process. So please don't feel that it's intentional. Thank you.
Trustee Schoenfeld.
I'd like to speak on behalf of Cindy. I just wrote something here, and we will miss you, Cindy, standing in the middle of our library, surrounded by windows, books, and calm atmosphere each day, and all the wonderful accomplishments you brought forth. We will miss your friendly smile, your leadership, your good communication skills, your fairness, your empathy toward our employees, and most importantly, your customer focus. We are proud of the work you've done during the last 24 years of our library. At times during your stay, it was fun, frustrating, exciting, and rewarding. There was always been something new or some additional responsibilities and unexpected situations that you handled with extreme grace. You always tried to provide something for the community regardless of where you are in the political spectrum or the social spectrum. Congratulations on an outstanding career. May you find time to enjoy all the things you love in retirement. Celebrate this exciting new chapter in your life, and we will miss you. And also, I'd like to welcome Pilar as well.
Thank you. Trustee Kadir?
Yeah, I have three things I wanted to say. One is thank you to Cindy for the 24 years of service, for all the hard work through the tumult that preceded the swearing in of this board. I wanted to say welcome to Pilar. We look forward to working with you. We're excited to have you here, even just in the interim, but we're definitely excited to have you here. And I also wanted to comment regarding the union comments. As President Keene, Vice President Trunco, and others have said, we are working diligently. There are a lot of things on the table that we're trying to get through. We have been unfortunately somewhat handcuffed because we have a certain amount of funds to work with, and we're trying to fit everything in. You saw through the budget process how that played out. So we are definitely committed to getting this done as quickly as possible. We value every person who works at this library, and we would like to see you paid a fair wage.
Thank you. Secretary Rosansky, do you have a report? I don't think there's anything.
No.
Thank you. I do not. All right. Okay. Treasurer Botello?
No, thank you.
But do you have a
Oh, I'm sorry,
treasurer's
just
report?
the treasurer's report?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So the financial report, as of July 31st, 2023, the beginning balance from June 30th is $14,352,392. Revenue that came in with replacement taxes were $72,971. Investment income came in at $36,210. Revenue from passports, $5,767, and other income at $2,311. Total there was $117,259. With regards to expenditures, employee expenditures, employee salaries, $244,719. Employee fringe benefits, $59,193. Social Security, $18,009, and unemployment was $569. Combined expenditures, $322,490. With regards to operating expenses, in library materials, $65,282. Library operations, $45,199. General and administrative expenses, $17,916. Vehicle operations at $2,320. Utilities, $6,998. Liability insurance at $39,419. Workman's compensation, $20,387. Building and equipment maintenance, $8,693. And prepaid expenses at $40,164. That leaves us with operating expenses at $166,050. And our beginning balance as of July 31st was $13,990,828. That's the end of my report.
Thank you. Okay. Director's report. Would you like to give that, Pilar?
Yes, I will. Start by thanking you all for your warm words of welcome. I appreciate it. Obviously, I can't represent Cindy's director's report as submitted in the packet, but if questions arise at any time down the road, please feel free to email you and me about even things like that have happened in the past, and I will do my best to dig up the answer from what she's left behind, which is all very organized, and she's done a wonderful job at orienting me to the best of her abilities over the last 2 days. Aside from that, I'd like to take the opportunity to introduce myself to the community and to reintroduce myself to all of you. I've been a library professional for 15 years, an administrator for 8 years. And over the last 2 days, I have had the opportunity to meet your library team, and I have already formed the opinion that I will have the pleasure of leading a kind, dedicated, and capable team. I certainly anticipate that there will be some unknowns, and we will experience some snafus. But having already met the team and worked with President Keene, I feel confident that we will be able to move through this transitional period without too much disruption. And most of all, I'm grateful to the board for entrusting me with this very special opportunity. So thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions or comments on the president's report or statistics that we might be able to answer without Cindy here, but highlights? Go ahead.
I was just wondering, on the top where the library programs is on page 55, on the prior year attendance, if we could get a breakdown to in-person versus virtual like it shows now, just so we're comparing apples to apples, because when I look at like some of the attendance numbers now look great, but it may be different compared to in-person and virtual last year, so you can see maybe where we need to do some additional programming and things as well. I know that we approved, the additional pages and stuff in the programming that goes out for Sasha's team. So if we have to put some more virtual stuff in there or whatever, we have to help direct that to, maybe it could help as well.
I will definitely make note of that and speak with Sasha and the team about getting those numbers.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
It was nice to see that the program attendance went up 34% almost. Thank God for summer. Anything else? Okay, then we can move on to communications, which there were a couple of. One was a certificate of recognition that Cindy received from Senator Laura Murphy, and I'm trying to read these other names. Senators Murphy and Villi Valum, in recognition of her 24 years of service to the library. That was very exciting to receive. And also we received an invitation to the ribbon cutting ceremony at Maine East High School, which is on Wednesday, September 6th. So if any trustees are available and interested, it is from 3:45 to 4:45 p.m.
I'll be attending that.
Awesome. I'm glad. That's good. Wednesday, September 6th, though, after Labor Day. Okay. And then we have one additional communication that Secretary Rosansky is going to read.
Please bear with
A
me.
resolution in honor of Cindy Rademacher.
I have a tendency to sometimes stutter when I try to speak from reading something, so please bear with me. Resolution 23-01, a resolution honoring Cindy Rademacher on her retirement. Whereas Cindy has provided service to the Niles community for nearly 24 years, and whereas Cindy worked countless hours during her time as executive director to continue moving the library into the future, and whereas Cindy's door was always open if you had a question or concern, and whereas Cindy always greeted, you with a smile, and whereas Cindy is one of the most detail-oriented people to work at the library, and whereas Cindy always helped her fellow coworkers wherever and whenever she could, particularly for special events like Oscar nights, Veterans History Breakfast, and Not So Haunted Halloween, And also, which I forgot to put on here, the plan swap. I got to find where I was. Whereas Cindy co-authored the National Endowment for the Arts NEA grant for the Big Read, and whereas Cindy was the chair of the library's Security, Occupational Safety, and Health Administration Committee, whereas Cindy led the internal ILS team and trained all staff members to use the latest public catalog, and whereas Cindy led the data task force to determine library district populations and needs, and whereas Cindy trained and coordinated hundreds of volunteers in the library's adult volunteer program, and whereas Cindy was involved in the Niles community as VIP, volunteer and police service, and Oakton Community College VIT ESL volunteer, a Village of Niles environmental practice committee member, a volunteer at the Niles Senior Center COVID-19 vaccine event, and worked with Niles Garden Club volunteers. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of Niles Main District Library, on behalf of itself and the employees and its patrons, bestow its appreciation and commendations on Cindy Rademacher for her exemplary service and wish her a good health and happiness in her retirement. Passed by the Board of Trustees, the Niles Main District Library, this 16th day of August 2023. Cindy already received a framed copy of this, so thank you, Cindy, for your service.
Thank you
Thank you.
for reading that. Very nice. All right, so we can move on to new business.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to hereby ratify the approval of the independent contractor agreement for interim director services between the Niles Main District Library and Pilar Shaker, and the authorization of the board president to execute the same.
I second.
Okay? Yep. No, I don't think so.
Trustee Kadir.
Yes.
Trustee Derblick.
Yes.
Trustee Schoenfeld.
Yes.
Treasurer Botello.
Yes.
Secretary Rosansky.
Yes.
Vice President Trunko.
Yes.
President Keene.
Yes,
7 yeses, 0 nos. Motion passed.
thank you.
I'd like to, I guess it's just giving an update, President Keene. I don't think I need to make a motion for you to give an update.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the update was placed on the agenda just as a kind of a placeholder to get a little more information on Pilar and what she will be, when she'll be available and things like that. But I think she has expressed most of that already. But just as kind of a general knowledge, and the board will get more information later, but Pilar will be here for 20 hours a week, generally during the middle of the week, and her email and phone and all is being set up. I think it's already been set up, but it will be available probably starting tomorrow. So if anyone needs to get in touch with her, that will be possible as well. So we know your background, we know when you're going to be here, and we are glad to have you. And I don't know if there's anything else I need to update on at the moment. I don't think so.
I think we're good.
I have a question.
Sure.
We received this task list
Right.
from Cindy which I guess somehow we are going to transfer to Pilar,
We're going to go over that in executive session
her tasks.
on our tasks as well. It's
I
kind of a
think, I think tasks aren't an executive session item. I think
that's what
salaries
I-
are.
Was advised to do, so that's what I'm going to do.
Okay, and I was advised the opposite. Okay. Then we can discuss this later. All right, sounds good.
I'd like to make a motion to discuss with possible action policy 4.24, longevity plan to allow payment of $350 to Donette Jensen, adult and outreach assistant for 35 years of service as of July 26, 2023, and $300 to Victoria Luz, materials services supervisor for 30 years of service as of September 28, 2023.
Second? Go ahead.
Yes.
Trustee Schoenfeld.
Yes.
Treasurer Botello.
Yes.
Secretary Rosansky.
Yes.
Vice President Trunco.
Yes.
President Keene.
Yes.
7 yeses, 0 nos. Motion passed.
Congratulations to Donette and Victoria for such a long time here. Thank you.
Yes, congratulations.
I'd like to make a motion to remove Director Rademacher as IMRF authorized agent and appoint Cassandra Henwood, Human Resource Manager as the IMRF authorized agent.
Any questions before we vote? All right.
Trustee Kadir.
Yes.
Trustee Derblick.
Yes.
Trustee Schoenfeld.
Yes.
Treasurer Botello.
Yes.
Secretary Rosansky.
Yes.
Vice President Trunco.
Yes.
President Keene.
Yes.
7 yeses, 0 nos. Motion passed.
I'd like to make a motion to remove Director Rademacher from the library's Northwest Community Credit Union NWCCU account and add Treasurer Roberto Botello and Richard Wozniczka? Wozniczki, sorry.
Wozniczka.
Sorry, Rich.
What's Nika? I'm sorry. I automatically assumed it was an I, and it's not. It's an A.
See? Wozniczka. So,
Is there a second?
I move to amend to remove Director Rademacher from the library's Northwest Community Credit Union NWCCU account and add Treasurer Roberto Botello and Cassandra Henwood, an administrator.
is there no discussion on this?
Yeah, if there's discussion, go ahead. I was just waiting for Victoria, but yes.
Yes. I don't, she's still writing.
No.
So I'm letting
But
her
if you
write.
have discussion, you can go ahead with
So
that.
we,
Think we need to
technically,
vote
my
first?
question is, we're
She would go
voting
first.
on what
Don't we need to
Carolyn
vote?
changed first?
We have to vote on the amendment first, but I'm asking if there's any discussion on the amendment before we take the vote on the amendment.
Correct. So, Carolyn, since you made the amendment, do you have anything that you'd want to add to that?
Actually, I think an administrator should be on the account. Secondly, Rich is already the, he's a part-time facilities manager. He's already managing IT, and just in the past year, there are so many responsibilities that he has in facilities. I'd like not to see us extend his responsibilities, but allow him, now that he has our former supervisor from facilities back and a couple of new facility staff members, to be able to start targeting a lot of the facilities projects that have not been done. And he already is responsible for the entire library. I know he's involved with every problem that occurs in every department. So I also think it would be best to allow him to juggle already those two positions without adding a third one. But more importantly, I think an administrator like Cassandra should be on the account, along with Treasurer Roberto Botello.
Thank you. I think that, does anyone else have anything to say before I do?
I'll just add a comment. The recommendation to make this change came from Cindy Rademacher herself. And while I'm happy to work with anyone that's here at the library, I valued Cindy's decision highly, and I hope that people would vote according to Cindy's recommendations.
Want to add something as well? Again, just following up on what Roberto said, we've got a recommendation from the former director. Rich has been crunching numbers forever, right, Rich? So no disrespect intended whatsoever to you, Cassandra, of course. But I just feel like it's a job that Rich probably would, if you're willing and able, in terms of your time to step into. It would seem like it would be easier for you to coordinate than for Cassandra to get fully up to speed on this task until the new executive director comes in.
And Rich, you're already aware of this.
I am.
Yes.
There's really not a lot of work with it.
Right.
It's about reliability.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Would you like me to repeat the motion? Or just vote on it?
The motion or the amended motion?
It's
The amended motion.
Sure, why not? Just for the
Okay.
record.
The amended motion first.
The amended motion, remove Director Rademacher from the library's Northwest Community Credit Union, NWCCU account, add Treasurer Botello and Cassandra Henwood. Trustee Kadir.
No.
Trustee Derblick.
Yes.
Trustee Schoenfeld. Yes. Treasurer Botello.
No.
Secretary Rosansky.
I respect Cindy's judgment, so yes.
No.
I mean, no, duh. I'm sorry. Okay, no.
Vice President Trunco.
No.
President Keene.
No.
5 noes and 2 yeses, motion fails.
No, we got
Now
to
we
vote.
vote
Now
on
we go
the
back to the
original
original
The
motion,
original motion.
which you can please read.
Sure.
Thank you.
Remove, the original motion is remove Director Rademacher from the library's Northwest Community Credit Union, NWCCU account and add Treasurer Roberto Botello and Richard Wozniczka.
Nice.
Nicely
Yes.
done.
Go.
Trustee Kadir.
Yes.
Trustee Derblick.
No.
Trustee Schoenfeld. Trustee Botello.
Yes.
Secretary Rosansky.
Yes.
Vice President Trunco.
Yes.
President Keene.
Yes.
5 yeses, 2 noes, motion passed.
I'd like to make a motion to discuss with possible action to select a consulting firm to hire a full-time executive director.
Second.
Okay, so we had several contracts presented to us, or proposals, rather. I'm just catching up here. Yes. Yes, please, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Right, this is the one that didn't come in, until, thank you, yeah.
Thank you.
Excuse me, aren't there two missing? 2 proposals missing? I only received 2 proposals in the packet.
Yeah, so one of them declined.
Yes, so
did they?
the last one, Bradbury Miller, was unable to assist us.
Thank you. Okay, perfect.
Thank you. And this is what you sent us online also, right? And they don't actually have any pricing in here, do they? They do. They do, I missed that, okay.
Virtual recruitment, oh, that's neat. Thank you.
All right, so does it make sense to go through it in order of what we have in the packet, which would be Gov HR first?
Sure.
So let me wait for Cassandra to catch up. Okay, so this first one from Gov HR, all we got was this one sheet, right?
Yes, and I gave you in the body of that email I sent you. So it is, there was a note that it was,
For the scope,
Yep.
it was $21,500.
For the limited scope and $24,500 for the full scope.
Correct.
I'm sorry, could you repeat the,
So it's on
Full-
page 70 of your packet, yes, and it's $24,500 for executive full scope and $21,500 for limited scope.
It's on page 70 in the board packet.
Right.
I don't see page 7.
Yeah, we all kind of need to reshuffle and be on the same spot, so take your time.
Oh, I moved it. All right, I see it. Thank you.
These guys.
So does anyone have any questions or comments on this first one?
Well, I have a question in general, I guess,
Sure.
for Cassandra. I guess it's Cassandra I should address this to. I know that these are all service, different businesses that go out and search for an executive director for us. There are some things we could do of the free variety of, posting on ILA and things of that nature. What have you seen in your, career in the library of history of success of getting things out of ILA and things of that nature? Should we start with something like that and let's see if we get any traction first, or do we need to expend $16,000 right now on, or more, on an agency?
There's pros and cons to both. I think with the agency, it's going to cut the speed of manual recruitment. At this point, we do have an end date on Pilar's end. So I think the quicker that we can get efficient candidates interviewed and considered, I think the better. However, ILA is a great resource as well. I will admit this is only my second year experience with ILA, but from what I've seen, it's a very strong resource, and I think it is something we could certainly utilize as well, and I think we would get traction. But I am in support of using an agency as well.
Okay.
Do you mind if I weigh in?
Yeah, please. Yeah. I was going to ask. I saw your hand was there. I was going to ask.
I have assisted boards with search before without using an outside vendor consulting group, and you can post on Rails and ILA and all the places that people go, and in my experience, you will get a number of applicants, qualified applicants. From my perspective, the value of using a consultant to do this has less to do with the number of applications that you'll get and more to do with having a neutral party be the group that is doing a lot of the interviewing, a lot of the posting, a lot of the working with staff to represent the staff's side of things and facilitating those focus groups with staff, which is very time consuming. And making sure that the interviewing is done sort of from a neutral perspective, as opposed to sort of the value being in the number of candidates that you're able to recruit, which still is a personal decision for the board with regards to, whether or not they want to take it in. But just my opinion, you could probably get an equal number of candidates, but my personal thoughts is that's not where the value of the consulting comes in.
And I agree with the things you said about a non-personal people with doing the interviewing. We used a search group before we hired Susan Lemke full-time. That search group, because of the people who were on the board prior to me being on the board, decided they wanted to go national. So the cost of that was twice as much as they're asking here. Just for that reason, I think it's better. These are a better deal. There's no reason to go international, or not international, national. We paid over $40,000. $24,000 is a lot better than $40,000.
No, I'm not saying it's not. Pilar, I do have a follow-up.
And it was beneficial because they gave us their honest opinions about different candidates and who they personally recommended. And
Pilar, I'd like to follow up if I may. In your experience, one, how long do you think, if we decided to go without a firm, would it take to get things up on the Rails and ILA sites? And how soon do you think we see traction off of that?
My concern in terms of timeline has also to do with the fact that you all will need to approve a new job description for the director. The job description that Cindy passed along to me needs to be revised before it can be posted, and so there are steps in between that, timeline-wise, I can't weigh in on because, that'll require special meetings on your end and discussions and depend on, how smoothly those processes go. But, as soon as you post these things, and again, if you're making phone calls on your end, reaching out to people, you start getting resumes fairly quickly. But a lot of it has to do with your time. And, with me only being here 20 hours a week, that's probably not something I would be committing time to. So it would really have a lot to depend on how much time you all are committing to the process. Putting questions together, which would be done by the consultants, putting focus groups together, meeting with staff and getting their input, all of that it's really time consuming. But in terms of once you post it, you start getting applications fairly quickly, assuming that it is an attractive job posting.
Got it. Okay. All right. Thank you.
If I could weigh in, I definitely think, considering our current situation, that the library does need to utilize a recruiting service. We only have an interim director, and she obviously doesn't have time to devote to this, nor does any of our staff. And I don't know that the library board is available enough to be recruiting and setting up focus groups and what have you. I mean, this is way out of our expertise. And these services, these recruiting services can handle this better, and I think the end result will be more beneficial. Then my next question is, does anyone have any personal knowledge of either of these recruiting companies to recommend which one would be better?
Any of the three, you mean?
So prior to getting these proposals, there was the other firm that I did know of, which was Deiters and Todd. They are not able to take any more business at the moment. And then they recommended the Bradbury Miller firm, which is also unable to take any more business. So that is how Cassandra and Cindy were able to come up with the GovHR, HR Source, and Science. So I don't have any previous experience with any of these groups. I don't know if anyone else does.
Okay. Cassandra, are you familiar with either or any of these? Or aware of their existence through other people that may have used them?
Yeah, so Scion I am not familiar with. This is one that I just found on Rails. HR Source I'm very familiar with. I'm going on my second year of experience with that firm, so I know them very well. And then GovHR I am not familiar with. However, I do feel that their scope is pretty extensive. And I think going off of Pilar's suggestions, I think they cover all those as well.
Do we know if any of these agencies have worked on executive director searches for libraries in the area?
Yes.
And who, and which libraries?
I don't know which ones.
I think that was in there, in the packet, at least for HR Source, had their.
Okay, I didn't see it for the first one.
No, maybe,
GovHR.
well, right, the HR Source is really the
references.
most
Okay,
thorough
I see.
proposal.
I see, 1 second.
Yes, I agree.
And I think it is national, actually, too, if I remember correctly, but I don't know where I saw that. Let's see.
No, you're not. I'm not sure.
Maybe, if it isn't in the packet, Trustee Kuder, it was online that they had their, companies and libraries that they had worked at that recommended them.
Yeah, they've got a list of references, which.
That's what I'm
refers
trying to say.
Some libraries, but, okay.
And they have the cap at 16,000 also, which was interesting.
For HR Source?
Mm-hmm.
It's got my vote.
I hear a ready to vote. Is anyone, Is there any other, do we want to have any more discussion on the different companies, or are people ready? I heard someone say they were ready to vote, so I don't know.
So are we voting for all of them, or are you picking one?
You want, I mean, I can make,
Somebody can make a motion if they have a,
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to approve HR Source to do our executive director search, not to exceed $16,000.
Second.
does anyone have a comment before we vote?
Want to ask Cassandra, I know you're familiar with them. What do you think of them?
I think.
Sorry to put you on the spot
No,
here.
it's okay. No, I really respect HR Source, and I think their timing is very quick. They have a lot of resources, and they do have a newsletter that comes through. And I did actually work with there was a HR interim at Schaumburg that we worked with that was from HR Source, and she really was able to help that department. And so having that experience with them and seeing it now, I do think any questions that need to be answered or any procedures that need to be adhered to, they're very resourceful and they're very professional, and they'll make sure that we're in compliance with the entire process. And I do have faith that they'll get us through that.
Awesome.
So, two questions, actually. One's for Pilar. The focus groups, I think, I've actually been part of an executive director search at a previous library, Des Plaines. I was on the board when we hired a new executive director. And the focus groups were something that were very important, and the feedback that we got from staff as to how their interactions with the director were very important in finalizing that decision. So now, flipping it to Cassandra, are you familiar with, how good are their focus groups, basically? How good are they at that particular aspect of the process?
I have no I can't comment. I have no experience with their recruiting process. I only know just what their consultants look like, and I was very impressed with that, but I have no.
I have worked extensively with HR Source, and I brought it up non-related to this because I told Cassandra earlier today that I'm an HR Source fangirl because we were talking about her own supports, and I was, sharing my praise of them. I have had them, as a director, I've had them do internal staff audits and staff focus groups for strategic planning. I've not had them do staff focus groups for a director search because that wouldn't make sense. But I have had them do internal staff focus groups for staff surveys in alignment with our strategic planning process. And I thought they were very professional. I enjoy working with them, and I think that they are the best of all the people I've worked with at being neutral with the staff, which for me is an important piece.
Thank you.
Okay, those are pretty solid recommendations.
I'm ready to make a motion.
Motion's made already. We're
Yeah,
just
we
waiting for the
I'll
roll.
take the vote then, yeah.
Okay.
Do we need a second?
Did we
It was
not have-
seconded by
I seconded
Sue
it.
or Carolyn.
Okay. Is it? Okay.
It was Trustee Derblick, I think that's.
Thank you.
Yep.
Do you want me to repeat the motion?
No.
Okay,
we're good.
you're good.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
We're good.
Kadir?
Yes.
Trustee Derblick?
Yes.
Trustee Schoenfeld?
Yes.
Treasurer Botello?
Yes.
Secretary Rosansky?
Yes.
Vice President Trunko?
Yes.
President Keene?
Yes.
7 yeses, 0 nos, motion passed.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion for discussion and possible action on moving $2 million into special reserve.
A second. Just to note, the agenda that's listed here was updated to add a possible action. Oh, I didn't. Okay, got it.
So
All
this is something that I brought forward to the board after looking into multiple avenues and then reaching out to Attorney Dennis Walsh. As a library district, the accumulations per Dennis must be transferred to.
Why don't you explain what the accumulations are?
I'm getting there.
Okay.
I want to read this into record first and then explain it all.
Okay.
To a special reserve fund account, which is 75 ILCS 16/40-50. And basically what over the last couple of years, we've had a budgeted amount and then we've had a spent amount. The leftover should have been moved at the end of every period, they call it, which is every fiscal year. The leftover monies should be moved into special reserve by the board. That should have been handled by the prior treasurer for the last 2 years. It hasn't been. So in fiscal year 2021, 2022, we had budgeted $5,689,869. Our spend was $5,104,322, which meant there was $585,547 remaining that should have been moved into special reserve. In fiscal year 2022, 2023, which we just finished, in June 30th of this year, we budgeted for $6,646,129. Our spend was $5,262,494. So the leftover monies at that point was $1,383,635. So that brings a 2-year total to $1,969,182 that would need to be moved into special reserve. I am also waiting because I didn't see anything online, and I went back and looked at meetings for the fiscal year 2020, 2021, because there may be monies that need to be moved in from that as well. But this would at least bring us current for the last 2 budget cycles by moving this monies over.
So just to clarify, this is required by the Illinois Library Act. This is not something that's optional. The fact that it had not been done, we did not have the option to leave that money in the general reserve. So once we figured out that this is in fact what the law said, we obviously reached out to the library's attorney. I went through the statute, nitpicked it as an attorney, and asked every question I could possibly come up with. Well, how is this section interpreted, and how is that section interpreted, of the library's attorney, Dennis Walsh, and we got clear instructions that this money needs to be moved over into special reserve. It can be used by the library. There are other taxing districts which are required to refund any monies that are not spent. This library has the option to use that money. However, it has to be transferred into special reserve and only be used for special reserve expenses. That's what Illinois law says. In order to comply with the law, this money has to be shifted. We don't have a choice in the matter.
I would like to raise point of information. I'm looking at the statute, and I do not see what you're referring to. Could you read that to me?
Jason,
We're looking at IL 75 ILCS 16/40-50.
Could you
and
please-
I'm giving you
Could
the
you
point
read
of
it,
I'm
please?
giving you the point of information if you let me speak. And our attorney Dennis Walsh sent it all over to us. I am more than happy to get that over to you.
Okay, I'm just asking that right now you read
Yeah, just read the statute.
16/40-50.
Yeah.
Do you have the statute?
We are pulling it up for you right now, Carolyn.
Okay, I have it as well, but it doesn't state what you're saying.
Okay, why
so-
don't you read it and ask
No, I'd
what
like,
part?
this may not be all of it, so I'd like to know what portion you have that I'm missing.
It's section A that's relevant.
Could you read it, please?
No, you
I
could
don't
go.
have
you-
it. I don't have it up. I don't have a computer. And
Okay,
don't have
because
it up
I
on
don't
screen,
have that information. I also spoke to the attorney that handles the governmental revenues and the policies, and what I received for 75 ILCS 16/40-50 states it authorizes a public library district to create a special reserve fund for the purpose of Section 40-5 of the Public Library District Act, or for the emergency expenditures of the repair of an existing library or its equipment. There is no prescribed dollar limitations on the amount that may be transferred to the special reserve fund. So I have nothing that states because our revenues were higher than our budget, that the money must be transferred into special reserves. As a matter of fact, when I questioned the attorney about that statement, he said that is not what he said.
Okay, well,
So
we
if you
have,
could show me the statute.
I'm going to
Which
read
attorney
this.
did you speak with?
I talked to Walsh, and he did not recall any such conversation.
These are his words in the email.
But anyway, well, if you could read the email, maybe that's
Sure,
what's missing.
I'd be more than happy to read the email.
But
here.
no, I did. I consulted with the attorney who handles all
Which attorney is
governmental
that?
funds.
Which attorney is that?
It's Renner. We used him for remember the P-TEL conversation?
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
but if you could please share because.
I'm trying to.
Thanks.
Just let me know when you'd like me to talk. The question that I asked, is there any sort of law or guidelines for us having money left over going into special reserve? Mr. Walsh's response, unlike many taxing districts, libraries may accumulate unused tax dollars and other revenue in their general library funds, i.e. corporate and maintenance funds, without impacting any future levy authority or being subject to tax obligations. However, the accumulations must be transferred into a special reserve account, 75 ILCS 16/40-50. That was from Attorney Walsh.
Do you have the email that I sent?
Okay, so,
Wait, I'm not done.
okay.
I'm not done.
Well, let me know when you're finished,
I
please.
will. There was multiple emails about this. I was on this. I was talking with Mr. Walsh and Trustee
But
Kadir
before
as well.
you go any further, he stated that there aren't any laws that prevent us from accumulating funds. Isn't that what that says?
But any accumulations must be transferred into a special reserve fund. We don't have. There's no law saying that we have to use them, but if we have them, we have to move them to special reserve.
So his statement is they must be transferred? Because if
Yeah,
there's no
just
law
read the other
preventing
statute.
accumulation, did he say?
His
that-
exact words one more
Please,
time.
thank
and
you.
The last time I'm going to read this. Unlike many taxing districts, libraries may accumulate unused tax dollars and other revenue in their general library funds, i.e. corporate and maintenance funds, without impacting their future levy authority or being subject to tax obligations. However, and this is the important part, the accumulations must be transferred into a special reserve fund account, 75 ILCS 16/40-50. So
Yeah,
it must be
so-
transferred into a special reserve fund. We could accumulate them, but that's where the funds have to go.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Typically, when the library district initially creates their special reserve fund, an ordinance goes with it.
Yeah.
And within that ordinance, there is typically a section that speaks to this transfer of
Trustee Kadir has that.
unexpended balances. And so, just my question being, if we have that, then it probably dictates that
We
should
have it, I
happen.
believe, from 1977. That's what, if you look at our current ordinance, it refers back to that. Anyway, in any event, I pulled up the statute. The statute says, "The board may transfer to the special reserve fund each year the unexpended balances of the proceeds received annually from annual public library taxes not in excess of statutory limits if the board has resolved to develop and adopt a plan or plans as authorized in this article," which refers to the plan that was first adopted, "and the board provides in the annual appropriation ordinance for accumulation of those unexpended balances," which again, in the ordinance, it says unexpended balances are transferred over to special reserves. So for example, I'll give you just from this year's, that's on page, what page is that on? Page 8, looks like. Let me pull that up. On page, on page 15, section 7, that the Board of Trustees of Niles Main District Library has established a special reserve fund to be accumulated from the unexpended balance from the proceeds received from the library taxes levied for the 1977 and subsequent years. Said fund to be accumulated and set aside as a special reserve fund for the purpose in accordance with 75 ILCS 16/40-50 and that said Board of Trustees shall adopt a plan or plans pursuant to the provisions of 75 ILCS 1640-5 of the Public Library District Act of 1991. So we've got that in our current budget proposal, that if you overrun, it goes into special reserve. And that is because the statute says if you overrun, you put it in special reserve. That's what has to be done.
But you just read the statute to say may transfer each year annually.
May transfer, otherwise you have to rebate it. It's not you can't leave it in your general.
So what you're saying is we're not forced to put it into special reserves, but we may transfer it. And what you just read now, is that a what do you call it? There's the established.
That's from our budget ordinance.
So that's our budget ordinance. Okay.
Yeah. And that is, the budget ordinance is written to comply with the statute.
But it's not mandatory. It's, you may transfer.
Right, but the other option is to rebate it. We don't have an option to keep it in the general fund. That's what Attorney Walsh was saying. That's the specific question that I asked him. That, hey, it says we may transfer it. What, I asked about the requirements, et cetera. He said, yeah, you don't have to rebate it. However, if you keep it, you have to transfer it. That's what his explanation was.
And
So
since
what
we
you're saying
have
is once we're over that percentage, then we can't hold on the funds we don't need.
Correct.
So your choice is to transfer it into special reserves rather than decrease the levy or abate it
No,
later
it's
on.
not. It's not.
can't
It doesn't
touch the
have to do
levy.
with free. It's essentially you have to issue it as a rebate for unspent funds. And
or put it in
Or
special
you put it in
reserves.
special
And
reserves.
considering we have the other half of the roof to pay for next year, which is $500,000, and you have a parking lot project alone is $570,000, this would more than cover those projects without us sitting here having to dip into general fund next
so
year.
I just want to be clear.
I wasn't done.
It's optional.
I wasn't done.
I'm sorry.
There are two
It's-
options.
there are
One
two-
is
there's-
to put
there's
it in
two
the special
options.
reserve, and one is to rebate it. Those are the options.
You mean abate it?
No.
no, rebate.
rebate it.
Refund.
Rebate it.
Refund
Provide
it.
it as a refund
To?
to the taxpayers.
To the taxpayers.
Oh, well, I call that an abatement. Okay, I see what you're saying. But you can't abate it anyway until next year.
No.
But my question also,
No.
not my question, but my comment, anything going into special reserves should be for a specific reason.
We have the second half of the roof.
So that's why you're putting it in there, not because you have to.
No,
Well, we
but
have to
we
move-
have
it has to
We
go out
don't-
of general fund.
Even if
You're-
we had no, yeah, sorry.
No,
I didn't mean to cut you off.
ahead. Go,
I didn't-
go.
Even if we had no projects coming up, the only options that we have, according to the statute, according to the library's attorney, are either stick the money in special reserve or give it back to the taxpayers. We cannot leave it in the general fund. And
And-
that should have been known by the prior treasurer, and the prior treasurer simply failed to do that.
Well, I think they abated is what.
No, nothing.
No, they did
nothing.
not abate
Nothing. No, and that's why next month I will be coming back talking about the 2020-2021 budget and what that number looks like, because we may legally have to either rebate it or put it into special reserves. Like, again, the prior administration for the last 2 years should have done. The treasurer should have brought this to the board, and
Well,
he
once
didn't.
again, I have to admit, I have this email that contradicts your email.
Okay.
So I would appreciate, I mean, I'll forward this to you. if
Sure, and
you
I'll
would
forward this-
that to me,
absolutely.
And then I'm going to send it back to the attorney.
Absolutely, not a problem. Can you please copy me on that communication with the attorney so we're all on the same page?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, great.
Pilar?
Just one question before you end up voting. My understanding that is the transfer into special reserve is the overage, as you indicated, Trustee Trunkel, minus your annual reserve. And I'm not familiar with how much this
Yeah.
district holds in annual reserve, but just so that to put my peace of mind, there is an annual reserve in addition to this overage that is set aside.
We have to keep 6 months of operating costs in our general fund. That will be there without a problem. And I want to remind everybody that, again, we still also, to operate the library this year with the tax levy being cut where it was, have to dip in a little over $1.4 million to run the library this year. So there's reserves there, but it's not this unlimited fountain or unlimited tree of money that it may look like. There's obligations we have, moving this $2 million over, using $1.4 million and keeping $2.5 million for operating expenses, all of a sudden, you're down a bunch of, there's a lot of money that's not being able to be used that may look like we could use it, but we can't. So it's untouchable. So with that being said, I'd like to actually break this down into two motions so that we do it correctly by each fiscal year and the budget cycle. I'd like to make a motion.
So you got to amend the current motion.
I didn't make a motion before.
Oh, okay.
I just made a motion to discuss it.
Okay.
So now I'm doing a possible action. I'd like to make a motion to take the accumulations of $585,547 from fiscal year 2021 and 2021-22 and move that to special reserves as required by law and 75 ILCS 16/40-50.
I second.
Can you repeat that number for us?
No, that's fine. $585,547 for fiscal year 2021-22. That's the accumulation dollar amount that we're going to move.
That's the unused.
unused portion of the budget to move that to special reserves
As required by law.
as required by law in in Illinois 75 ILCS 16/40-50.
So what is called in is the unexpended balance from proceeds received from the library taxes.
What he said.
Okay,
And we can give you this form if it helps you.
Yeah.
that's fine.
Okay.
I got it.
Okay.
So that's the first motion.
So we're going to split this up into two different votes. So that's my motion.
I second that motion. Whatever it was. Yeah, it's in the board packet.
Ready to call the roll? Kadir?
Yes.
Trustee Derblick?
I'm going to have to abstain.
Trustee Schoenfeld? Treasurer Botello?
Yes.
Secretary Rosansky?
Yes.
Vice President Trunco?
Yes.
President Keene?
Yes.
5 yeses, 2 abstains, motion passed.
Okay, I'd like to make a second motion, Victoria, when you're ready.
Make sure you take it slow.
I'm going to.
Fire away.
I'd like to make a motion to move the unused accumulations totaling $1,383,000. Oh, go ahead.
Start over.
Sorry.
One, to the number, please.
$1,383,635.
It was 383. Okay.
$635 remaining from fiscal year 22, 23. 22 and 23, yes. And move that to special reserves. Per law. Thank you.
Required by law.
As
required by law in 75 ILCS 16/40-50.
Ready?
Yep.
Okay. Trustee Kadir.
Yes.
Trustee Derblick.
I abstain.
Trustee Schoenfeld. Treasurer Botello.
Yes.
Secretary Rosansky.
Yes.
Vice President Trunco.
Yes.
President Keene.
Yes.
5 yeses, 2 abstains, motion passes.
I want to make one quick comment, to the public. This is required. This is going to help take care of other projects like the rest of the roof, like the parking lot next year, so that we don't have to go to the public and ask for more money for those projects. This now helps us take care of that as well. So,
Is there a
I'd like to
motion
make.
for-
I'd like to make a motion to discuss with possible action the formation of special committees such as finance, facilities, policies, and personnel.
So this topic was on the agenda a while ago, and it was tabled. I understand we have a lot going on at the moment, and some trustees may still wish to table this further, but it seems like we really need to review our policies and procedures and our bylaws. As we're seeing with the special reserve fund, things are not all going as they should. So I don't know if there's any interest at this time in forming special committees.
I'm going to ask that we table this once again. I'd like to finish the budget. I'd like to get an executive director in place that could help us with these committees. And we have a ton going on right now, and to take something on like this isn't as cut and dry as just forming a committee and putting people in a room. So I would like to table it again.
I second it.
You second
So
the
you have to
tabling?
motion, do you have to make a motion to table it?
I'd like to make a motion to table the
12A?
Item 12A on the agenda tonight until we at least have an executive director in place.
Second.
Ready to call the roll?
Yep.
Okay. Trustee Kadir.
Yes.
Trustee Derblick.
Yes.
Trustee Schoenfeld. Treasurer Botello.
Yes.
Secretary Rosansky.
Yes.
Vice President Trunco.
Yes.
President Keene.
No.
6 yeses, 1 no. Motion passed.
I'd like to make a motion to move to executive session at 8:42 p.m.
Second.
Was that Rosansky? Second?
Yes, ma'am.
Trustee Kadir.
Yes.
Trustee Derblick.
Yes.
Trustee Schoenfeld. Treasurer Botello.
Yes.
Secretary Rosansky.
Yes.
Vice President Trunco.
Yes.
President Keene.
Yes.
7 yeses, 0 nos. Motion passes.
to public session.
Second.
10:32.
We don't have to vote on coming back anyway, do we?
No.
No.
And there's no action from executive.
There is no action from executive session, so we can move on to other.
Oh,
No, there is not.
No, there isn't,
because,
because there isn't.
right.
No.
We can't.
You're right, there isn't.
You don't need to discuss something that isn't, okay?
Right.
It's done.
All right.
Copy?
Trustee Kadir, do you have any other?
I have no other.
Does anyone have
I
other?
was trying to come up with something clever. It didn't work.
Nobody has other?
Let me check. I thought it did, maybe I don't. No, I don't. Thank you.
All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn the meeting.
I second.
All of us seconded it.
Everybody seconded. Okay, we need a,
Whoever you want, it could have been Sue, it could have been Carolyn, it could have been me. All three of us said second.
This is the IMRF.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, please.
Yes,
Trustee Kadir.
yes.
Trustee Derblick. Trustee Schoenfeld. Treasurer Botello.
Yes.
Secretary Rosansky.
secretary's signature.
Adjournment.
Yes.
Vice President Trunco.
Yes.
President Keene.
Yes. 10:33.
7 has it and 0 no's. Motion passed. What's the,
10:33.
thank you.
Thank you.